Hey everybody, it's Tony Robbins with my buddy Dean. How are you today?
What's up?
Listen, we're really grateful that you guys joined us for this little 90-minute run. It's a real privilege to be with you. We have, over 260,000 people that signed up to come today. So if this was a live event, we'd have several football fields
Yeah,
of people.
exactly.
I know you're from all over the world, and we really want to make sure we serve you today. I want to start by asking a simple question. I'm going to go first for a little bit, then the Dean will go. And that is, if you were coming to the end of your life and it was a life well lived, a life you were really proud of, a life that felt magnificent, what would matter you more? Making a massive amount of money or having a massive impact on the quality of people's lives all around you in your life? And when I ask that question, I got to tell you, my answer is, why pick between the two? The two of us have had this privilege of being in this knowledge business as it grew from its infancy to now where it's really literally exploding. And we've had the opportunity to do something that we both enjoy because it's meaningful. I mean, you could sell widgets all day long, but when you can help somebody change the quality of their life because you busted your tail and you got some insights in how you run a business or how you write software or how you cut hair, how you do anything, any kind of specialized knowledge that you can share with people that can make the quality of their life or their business better is pretty damn exciting. Let me just say that what excites me about this, and the reason we put this project together is, there is a power that changes people's lives that most people just aren't aware of, the majority of the population. I always say that our lives are changed by invisible forces, and it sounds kind of corny, but if you think about it, the things that shape you the most are things like radiation, too little you're dead, too much you're dead, gravity, human emotion, love and hate probably shape you more than anything else, and they're invisible forces. Electricity, right? That's why we're able to have this conversation with you. But I believe one of the most powerful invisible forces, one of the most powerful forces on earth that's changed our lives, and the purpose of this conversation is understanding the power of self-education. See, I was a kid in a really rough environment. I had 4 different fathers. We were poor as can be. We had no food. Some of you know I feed 100 million meals a year for the last 5 years. I'm going to feed 1 billion people over the next 5. Through Feeding America, and it's not because I'm such a good person, it's because I suffered so much, and I didn't want other people to suffer. And so, as I looked at my life way back then, I didn't have the tool to say, here's the pathway to go. There was no one to educate me. There were no mentors. There were no coaches in those days. There was only therapists. And so I looked around and I started reading, and I absorbed books. That was my way to get out of that environment, and I was able to get this specialized knowledge there. But what really shifted me completely was when I really started to go to seminars, and I started listening to audio programs. And in those days, 6 cassettes cost $300 with 6 little workbooks, and I would save up my money as a janitor to try to figure out how I could go get this knowledge because I wanted to change my life, and I was so driven to want to change other people's lives. But that basic fundamental skill that we're going to show you how to expand and turn into a business based on our, their 20s, so 60 plus years of experience, is we want to show you the shortcuts that if you don't even have a clue what knowledge you might have that can make a difference, show you how you can extract that. If you are a person that feels, I don't have that skill, there's somebody else out there that I really love, I want more people to know about them, like I did with my original teacher, Jim Rohn. You could become a knowledge broker, or you could become somebody that really just wants to understand what makes people the best at something, go interview all the best people and become a reporter of it, which will start to make you an expert. We want to show you the pathway that can happen, because for me and for Dean, it changed our lives in ways you couldn't imagine. We went from kids struggling who, I was supposed to be a truck driver. My mom kept having me watch these commercials, Truckmaster. Some of you old enough may remember that.
I remember it.
Truckmaster School, $29.95. You can learn to make $24,000 a year driving a truck. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with driving a truck if that's what you love, but I don't want to sit. I'm a go make things happen person. I didn't want that stuff. Fortunately, there was a pathway out. And today it's so much easier, but I wasn't aware of it. It was self-education. That took me from this kid who was desperate to figure out how to be able to have enough money to help feed his family and be part of that process, to now traveling the world where I've had the chance to coach 5 US presidents. I've worked with 4 royal families, some of the greatest athletes in the world, the greatest billionaire business people. I get to work with them. I get to talk to groups of 10 to 15,000 people. This year, I've got 3 50,000 person events, to give you an idea, football stadiums. So I'm not saying at the end of this hour, you're going to be doing that. But I want to show you how I started with literally nothing, and how Dean started with nothing, and how we entered a business that was really raw and hard in those days.
It wasn't cool at all.
Not cool, and very hard to do, and very expensive to how to do this. I mean, I can remember my first seminar, I put all my time and energy, and I was giving it away. I rented the LA Hilton Hotel downtown, cost me a fortune. I ran all these ads, not like today where you go to Facebook and find who you want. It was these wide ads hoping somebody'd see it. And I thought no less than 500 people are going to show up, and 7 lonely souls showed up, and they're all late. And I was like, and they're spread around the room, and I pull them in the front row and just give it all to them. But we're going to show you how we went from that to now where I have 54 companies. We're doing over $6 billion in combined sales in all these industries, and where my core business of changing lives is still the most meaningful thing in my life and the most fulfilling. So I want to give you the insights of 40 years of experience and see if in this little 90-minute period we can really stimulate you to see what's possible, so that you could do something on the side that just provides a nice income for you that you love, or you could build it into something over time that's extraordinary. So thanks for joining us. And my only request is turn off your phones, turn off all the beeping from social media and so forth. Stay with us for this 90 minutes, and let's really go deep and figure out what we can do to take the next level. Here's my buddy Dean.
Good to have you here. So here's the thing. What Tony's saying really summarized is the knowledge industry, the self-education industry, was something some people dabbled in when Tony started 40 years ago, when I started 20 plus years ago. But the world has shifted, and people are realizing that they would rather learn from a non-professional doer than a professional teacher. And I don't mean any disrespect to a teacher, but people are voting with their money, not just by what Tony and I are saying, with their money, because right now the knowledge industry is a $355 million a day industry, an industry that Tony helped originate. And I want to tell that story in a second here, but I want you to think what Forbes just said is that this industry by 2025 will be $1 billion a day. This is the launching pad. This is the time to get in. And what we're going to show you today is how would you like to get paid for a skill, a hobby, a passion, an expertise you have, even if you don't think you have one. Wouldn't that be amazing to help somebody impact their lives and get paid? But I know this sounds crazy, but before we're done today, you're going to realize if you don't have a skill, you just got out of college, you feel like you didn't do anything that would be impactful, all of that's going to change when you learn how Tony started and how I started and the path we created to be the reporter or the broker, which really means if you're watching right now and you're someone that wants overnight success, want to get rich in 2 minutes, you want a business in a box, that you don't want to do the work, you feel like you can get wealthy without doing much, this isn't for you. This is, if you want to stay for entertainment, that's great, but that's, if you know anything about Tony and I.
I don't know for that entertaining.
Yeah, I don't know for that entertaining. That's a really good one. But if that's what you're thinking, this isn't the spot. But if you're watching right now and you crave another level, if you are dying to start your own thing, your own business, your own company, you're going to want to watch. We have 60 plus years. This is such an amazing industry. Impact and profits. If you have your own business and you're in the middle someplace, decent profits, a lot of stress, this is perfect for you. And if you're crushing it and you're on a whole nother level and you're ready to go to the next, this is where you can make significance, impact, and help other people grow while you get paid for your knowledge. So I guess the thing is, if you're here, and God, we have record-breaking numbers right now, I want you to stay with us all the way to the end, because we're going to paint the picture of something you probably never heard of. And here's the best part. Where is the biggest opportunity in anything in life? When was it like the Netflix compared to Blockbuster, the Uber compared to taxi, the internet compared to snail mail and not being connected? The biggest opportunity is when there's a big problem, a big, massive problem that needs to be solved. Yeah. And that problem is being solved through self-education. The education right now, traditional education, is broken. We'll talk more about that later. You have the opportunity to fix that with our guidance. Together we can help impact the world while simultaneously you tap into a new revenue stream as it's taken off. And I just want to say one thing, Tony, talking about your story, and I don't want to go too much in my story. I want to get right to this so you understand here tonight. We know you're taking time to be with us right now all over the world. Some of you in the middle of the night, I saw they're setting their alarms to be with us, so thank you. But I want to tell you what got me in this industry before it was cool is because I watched a late night infomercial of Tony Robbins 25 years ago. And I gave a credit card, even though my friends, my father told me I was nuts. He told me, get a refund right now, get a refund. Literally, I got information and that information changed my life. He didn't send me a car. He didn't send, I paid hundreds of dollars. I got these CDs. I obsessed. You said if you're obsessive, you listen to them in a weekend. 4 days, I digested all of them. Within 10 days, I listened to them twice. And my life fundamentally shifted. 2 years later, I filmed my own infomercial because I saw the impact it had on me. I wanted to teach other people. That was 22 years ago. I've been on TV pretty much nonstop since then and touched the lives of millions of people around the world. I've done over $1 billion with my brand, educating people. Yes, I've done real estate. Yes, I've done 13 different companies. But the one that lights me up, one that's truthfully generated me more revenue than anything else, was being in the knowledge business. But we started when it was hard. The world has changed. Instead of social media using you, tonight when you're done, you're like, holy crap, I can use social media to impact lives, get paid, and be a part of this evolution.
You look at the industry right now, Airbnb is another example, because co-founder is one of my dear friends, and these guys started the same thing. They started not being able to pay their bills, and so they got these little blow-up mats and said, let's rent our room for some people here. And to see that grow in 9 years, I mean, Hilton Hotels, as an example, has been around 99 years, and their valuation is 20 billion. It's pretty amazing. And you look at my buddy at Airbnb, and Joe Gebbia, his little company has been around 9 years, and it's worth $32 billion.
It's amazing.
I mean, that's the world that we're in. So let me give you a 2-second background so you get a sense how I got in this, because sometimes you see, oh, we're doing billions, and that's way beyond me, and it is beyond you where you are right now, unless you're already, got momentum and you're going. But I want to let you know that this all started with me really shifting my beliefs. Because I want you to know, we can show you all the tools to make happen, but lots of people know what to do, but they don't do what they know. And so part of what we do in our course and what we do in our experience here is we really make sure that we get your head straight. So I want to start by asking a question, because, let me tell you how I got the business first, and then the question will answer for you. I'm working as a janitor. I'm in high school. I'm working my tail off. I'm in a tough environment. I'm trying to help my family put food on the table while I'm still going to high school. And one weekend I get an opportunity to go work with this man who my father at the dinner table said, oh, he was such a jerk. He was such a failure. He was such a loser. Now he's so successful. And it hooked my ear. And he was buying and selling homes and real estate. This is in the late 1970s in Orange County, California. And I heard all this, and he said he needs somebody to help do moving. And I thought, I'll work to move, but I really want to know what made this man successful. Because even then I was hungry to know what the difference was in people. I didn't want to just generalize and say somebody else was lucky. And so I worked my tail off all weekend long and lifting all this heavy stuff. At the end, he goes to pay me and says, what a great hard worker. I says, well, here, give me some advice. My father said you used to be such a jerk, and now you're so successful. You used to be such a loser. Only kids can say this stuff, right? It's a true story. And he looked at me and said, your dad said that? He goes, well, I kind of was a little bit of a loser. And I said, well, what changed you? And he said, I went to a seminar. I didn't know there was college business. I didn't know what a seminar was. I said, well, what's a seminar? He said, well, it's where a man takes 25, 30 years of his life, and he sorts through all the best that he's learned, and he teaches you in 3 or 4 hours and saves you decades in a day. And I was like, wow. I said, I think I'd like to go to this. Could I get in? Could you get me in? He goes, yeah. I said, well, will you? And he said, no. And I said, well, why not? He goes, because you won't value it if you don't pay for it. And I was like, yeah, I'll value it. He goes, no. I said, what is it? He says, $35. I'm making $40 a week as a janitor at the time going to high school. I said, that's a week's pay. He said, well, then learn on your own. Take 20 years, 30 years, and hopefully you'll figure it out. And skip the 3 hours in a week's worth of pay. So to me, it was like the biggest decision in the world to spend a week's worth of pay to go to this little 3-hour seminar and hear this man speak. But he answered a question for me that night that was critical. See, I grew up so poor financially. And, after father, and I had more pain about the loss of the fathers than I did the lack of food, quite frankly. And I was like, I guess when you don't have money, people leave. That was in my head. I was like, I'm going to do well someday. I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to learn. And then I go to Jim Rohn's seminar, and the question I always had is, why is it that my fathers all worked hard and we have no money for food? And then Jim Rohn answered the question. He asked the question in the seminar that shifted my belief. He said, is it possible to me, and I'm asking you this question right now, is it possible to make twice as much money in the same amount of time? What's your answer? If somebody said, is it possible to make 10 times as much money in the same amount of time as you work right now, is that possible? And the answer is simple answer is, of course, but I mean, really think about it. What is your belief beyond the verbal that you just tell people, but what's inside? And he said, is it possible to make 100 times, 1,000 times more possible? And the audience was more attentive as the numbers got larger. And he said, the answer is yes, and people are doing it every day. But you have to understand what the secret is. You have to become more valuable in the marketplace. And I thought this was interesting because I'm a big believer we're all equal. We're equal as souls, but we're not equal in the marketplace. And what makes you unequal is your ability to develop specialized knowledge that you can help somebody with to improve their business, their life, their ability to cut hair, their ability to be a CPA, their ability to do anything, deal with a problem in their life. That's where the power is. So he said it this way. He said, you get paid for added value. If you work at McDonald's, and back then it was $3 an hour, I think now it's $9 an hour, You get $9 an hour, it's $18,000 a year, you can't survive on that. And it sounds so unfair. And then you see a hedge fund guy like David Tepper make $4 billion in a year. Go, this is totally unfair. But if you really think about it, it's about added value. If you work at McDonald's and you're a cashier, you can learn those skills in an hour. And pretty soon you're going to be replaced by an algorithm, unfortunately, or a robot. If you go to Amazon now, they have these new stores, I'm sure you've seen, you walk in, there's no cashier, you walk out. Everything is just tracked based on your codes. And so we're living in a world where if that's what you do, you're going to suffer. Like we have all these people talking about socialism right now. There's socialism because they're not capitalists. They own an iPhone, but they don't own Apple. They don't understand how to add value. And then you look at a guy like David Tepper, who's a hedge fund guy, made $4 billion in a year. And you go, that's so unjust. But he made a 42% return for all his clients. So if you're trying to save for your retirement or trying to take care of your kids or for college, and you're getting that same year he did that, and if you put your money in a savings account, you got less than 1/3 of 1%. If you got 1%, it takes 72 years to double your money. With David Tepper, it's 2.5 years. So is he worth it? The answer is yes. So the secret is become obsessed. What Jim Rohn used to say to me is work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Develop skills and abilities that make you valuable in the marketplace. Do more for others than anybody else is doing. And it doesn't matter how little skill you have. It'll grow and your gifts will make room for you and you'll get you want to go. So I hear this brilliant idea and I think I'm going to go do this. And so I start reading. I read 700 books. I took a speed reading class. I was going to read a book a day. I didn't do that. But 700 books over several years. And then I wanted to do a seminar and I wanted to help people. I didn't know a knowledge business. I just wanted to help. So I go rent this hotel, like I said, and 7 people show up, and it's not looking too terribly good, right? It's like not looking good at all. But what gradually happened is I learned skills. Now in those days, it cost a fortune to design a brochure, print it out, mail it through the snail mail. It took forever. Today, it's free. Social media, the elements that you can do, there's zero limit to what you can build towards. So what I want to say to you is, we're going to show you the system, step by step, on how to either find the knowledge you have and then create it, design it, put it into a course. Here's the ways to market it. Here's the best language you can use. You can change one and literally change the return on your investment on a Facebook ad by 1,000%. And we've been doing this for 60 years. So we can show you the pathway to power and show you how to compress those decades into days. But what I really want you to get more than anything else is, this is an opportunity. You can get in a business that is an aging industry and you can be the best and you're going to go down. When you're in an industry that's growing, a rising tide lifts all boats. All we want to show you is what can really happen. So what's the problem? What are we getting to here? The problem is traditional education is really not delivering anymore. Number one, it costs a fortune. We have $1.5 trillion of debt that kids have today. You might be one of them going, I have all these debts, how am I ever going to get over it? And that debt has not provided them the job they really wanted, because I know you saw the statistics. 23% of the people actually work in the area that they learned in school. 72% don't. And of that group, remember what the number was?
So 27%, I think it's 27% actually get a job related to their degree.
That's right.
And on 52% of them hate the job they're in.
Which means 73% are not using anything they went in college where they spent $100,000 a year. Don't get me wrong, college can be beautiful. Relationships, insights, contacts. But it's out of control. And what's happening, as you said, is you've got a professional teacher who's teaching you things that often completely out of date, certainly in business often completely out of date. It's not relevant versus specialized knowledge you can act on immediately. So we want to help build a community. People kind of like a TED, but where you can take anything you know and bring it to the marketplace. And again, we got the pathway to do this process, but we got to get past this system right now. Because right now, what these universities are, there's 100 universities with $1 billion or more set aside. You know, Harvard the other day raised $9.7 billion and they have 22,000 classmates. I mean, they're really hedge funds with universities, they're educations with hedge funds attached. We're paying for all that, most of us. We're guaranteeing that, whether they produce results or not. So our goal is to shift that and say, let's show you the way to become whatever little specialized knowledge you have, someone else has, how to bring it to the marketplace. And let us show you the shortcuts so you don't have to go through all the things we went through that are so painful, and show you how to do it really inexpensively and really quickly, provide income and provide meaning for your life.
There you go. So that is the problem, right? The real estate, the education system, the traditional educational model is broken. I had a good friend, Richard Rossi. He's in the education space forever, runs a $100 million a year company. And he said to me something last week. He said, if you took somebody from 1920 and you brought them into today, and you just handed them your phone, they'd go, oh my God, Google, and I can answer any question, and navigation, and pictures, and video, and audio, and music. Oh my God, they see planes flying over. And you did all these things. And then if you brought them into a classroom and you let them sit for a day, at the end of the day, they'd go, wow, the blackboards are white now.
Yeah, that's about the only change in traditional
Nothing's
education.
changed. General knowledge, Jeannie Riley, the CEO of IBM, just addressed her whole company, which when I was a kid as a blue collar, working in construction, working on cars, IBM was across the river. That was my dream. If I was smart, I could work for IBM.
Yeah.
And I think that's the epitome of white collar. At least that's what I